Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Grantraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Samaved Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatho Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavatir Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 11, focusing on text 24. Canto 6, chapter 11, text 24. Chapter 11 is titled as The Transcendental Qualities of Vritasur. Text 24 goes as follows. Aham Hare Tava Padaika Moola Dasa Nudaso Bhavitasmi Bhuyah Manasmaretashu Pater Gunamste Granitava Karma Karotu Kayah Aham Hare Tava Padaika Moola Dasa Nudaso Bhavitasmi Bhuyah Manasmaretashu Pater Gunamste Granitava Karma Karotu Kayah Aham Hare Tava Padaika Moola Dasa Nudaso Bhavitasmi Bhuyah Manasmaretashu Pater Gunamste Granitava Karma Karotu Kayah Aham Hare Tava Padaika Moola Dasa Nudaso Bhavitasmi Bhuyah Manasmratetashu Pater Gunamste Granitava Karma Karotu Kayah Aham Hare Tava Padaika Moola Dasa Nudaso Bhavitasmi Bhuyah Manasmaretashu Pater Gunamste Granitava Karma Karotu Kayah Aham Hare Tava Padaika Moola Dasa Nudaso Bhavitasmi Bhuyah Manasmaretashu Pater Gunamste Granitava Karma Karotu Kayah Matajis Aham Hare Tava Padaika Moola Dasa Nudaso Bhavitasmi Bhuyah Manasmaretashu Pater Gunamste Granitava Karma Karotu Kayah Aham Hare Tava Padaika Moola Dasa Nudaso Bhavitasmi Bhuyah Manasmaretashu Pater Gunamste Granitava Karma Karotu Kayah Aham I Hare O my Lord Tava of your Lordship Pada Eka Moola whose only shelter is the lotus feet Dasa Anudasah the servant of your servant Bhavitasmi shall I become Bhuyah again Manah my mind, smareta, may remember, asupate, of the Lord of my life. Gunan, the attributes, te, of your Lordship. Granita, may chant. Vak, my words. Karma, activities of service to you. Karotu, may perform. Kaya, my body. Translation. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants who find shelter only at your lotus feet? O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes. My words always glorify those attributes, and my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship. Purport. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This verse gives the sum and substance of devotional life. One must first become a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. Das Anudas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised, and he also showed by his own example, that a living entity should always desire to be a servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, the maintainer of the gopis. Gopi bhartu pada kamalayor dasa dasanudasa. This means that one must accept a spiritual master who comes in the disciplic succession and is a servant of the Lord. Under his direction, one must then engage one's three properties, namely his body, mind, and words. The body should be engaged in physical activity under the order of the master. The mind should think of Krishna incessantly, and one's words should be engaged in preaching the glories of the Lord. If one is thus engaged in the loving service of the Lord, one's life is successful. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Mukham Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatam Maham Vande Sri Guru Dinatarinam. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. अहम हरे तव पादैकमूल दासानुदासो भवितास्म भूयः मन स्मरेताशु पतेर्गुणांस्ते गृणीतवाक् कर्म करोतु कायः. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants who find shelter only at your lotus feet? O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes. My words always glorify those attributes and my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship. So this is a very exalted prayer done by a very exalted devotee. Yesterday when I was told I was to speak on this verse, I was nervous and frankly I am. It's a very exalted prayer. Sometimes when you have to speak beyond your realizations and beyond your own self, it becomes extremely difficult to give a class. And this is one of those moments. But I request all of you to bless me that for my own benefit and purification and with your mercy that we may be able to discuss something on this aspect of becoming servant of servant of servant. So, this chapter is called as the transcendental qualities of Vritasur. And why not? Why not? Because Vritasur is exhibiting through this prayer those transcendental qualities. Up until now, in this chapter, it's a smaller chapter compared to the size of the other chapters in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. This is a relatively smaller chapter. In fact, we are nearing the end of this chapter after this. So this is towards the end that we see this verse. So this is a conversation going on between Vritasur and Indra. Indra has shamelessly killed the person who helped him in his life, the priest. And then he was given the bones of Dadichi, by which he could kill Vritasur. Vritasur has taken birth in a demonic kul, Asura kul. And Indra is on the Devata side. But the consciousness is exactly diametrically opposite. Indra's consciousness is, how can I continue ruling, becoming the king of the heavenly planets? How can I control my fiefdom? Tomorrow morning, Monday, when you enter office, you will see this principle completely active. Everybody is trying to retain his or her own position in the office, right? So similarly, Indra wanted to retain his own position. And Indra was afraid, seeing the power of Vritasur. And the power of Vritasur is evident in the initial verses of this chapter. As they are fighting with each other, what is happening? The power of the Devatas is so high that everyone on the Asur side has fled. And who is left? Only Vritasur is left. He is only soldier now. And Vritasur is not perturbed. Ordinarily, Vritasur should have seen, oh my goodness, everyone has run away, let me also take shelter somewhere. That's what he should have done. But he stood there. In fact, he stood there and valiantly gave the challenge back to the demigods. Alone, he was fighting the entire army of those powerful devatas. Alone, single-handedly, and actually he was defeating them. He was trampling them. Now one may wonder, this is exaggeration, it's not possible, right? But if we have the mercy given personally by the Lord, then anything is possible. One man can conquer the whole world if Krishna sanctions it. So whatever is happening here is happening by the explicit sanction of the Lord. And that is where Vritasur is getting all his power from his purity. Though he is in Asurkul. Prahalad was also born in Asurkul. But doesn't mean Prahalad was Asura. Asura is not by birth. Asura is by consciousness. So we see in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, sometimes we see that the Devatas also succumb to Asuric consciousness and the Asuras are Krishna conscious. So we see this dichotomy in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So in this world, nobody can really be categorized as a good person or a bad person. It's the question of, in Tamil, we say, Sila Nerargalil, Sila Manidargal. Sometimes some people behave in some situations in certain way. So therefore, we see that Vritasur is Krishna conscious right now and Indra is worried about his position. So worried when we are completely overwhelmed by fear, then what stops working? Intelligence stops working. Right? when we are overcome with fear, intelligence stops working. Suddenly you go into some kind of a mood where you can't think at all like that. And we have all faced it. Sometimes when we are faced with some grave danger, we don't know what to do next step. Whereas it may be very commonsensical. For example, someone has fallen on the road and that person needs water. And we are standing there and we are seeing that person die. And then we can't even think this common sense, okay, this person should be given water immediately, like that. So we can't. Sometimes intelligence just freezes. So Indra's intelligence has frozen now. He is only seeing his own imminent death because Vritasura is so powerful. So Vritasura himself reminds him, my dear Indra, incidentally, you have a weapon in your hand given by Vishnu. Please take that weapon and kill me. Now, which enemy in this world will tell this? Which enemy in this world will instruct this way? That you have this power, I am telling you, please kill me with that. So, Vritasura's faith in the blessings of Lord Vishnu's weapon is higher than Indra's faith in it. Indra also, when fear came, he lost his faith. Many times, this phenomenon also we see. When we are overcome with fear, we lose our faith during that time. And then again it comes back after some time by association of devotees, right? So, this is what is going on. And then finally Indra, what he does, but of course, Indra initially tries to attack with his own thunderbolt. Now, Indra's thunderbolt is actually can do a lot of damage. It's very, very powerful, right? But Vritasura is catching with his left hand. That's a bit of an insult. At least he should have caught with both hands, or right hand at least. But with his left hand, and he is throwing it back at Indra. And not only Indra's elephant is now on the ground, and on top of that Indra also lands. That is pretty embarrassing for the head of the Devatas. And then Vritasura is condemning Indra's mentality. Actually, he is correcting Indra, saying that you are just doing all this carnage is because of your desire to protect your fiefdom. And he instructs Indra, saying that pure devotees, even the Lord, one who is a devotee of the Lord, even the Lord ensures that the devotees don't get succumbed to the pressures of mundane religiosity, dharma, economic development, artha, sense gratification, kama, and impersonal liberation, moksha. So that is the instruction, Vritasura is giving him. Why? Because a pure devotee is happy with whatever Lord Krishna gives him. So he does not do any extraneous endeavor for all these things. He is just simply, he or she who is a pure devotee, simply engages in the service of the Lord and is completely happy with whatever the Lord provides. So these are the instructions that Vritasura is giving to Indra. And then Vritasura goes into a prayerful mood. And this is his prayer. What does he say? O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, will I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants who find shelter only at your lotus feet? O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes. My words always glorify those attributes and my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship. So, in Srila Prabhupada's purport, Prabhupada is hammering this point of developing the mood of Dasanu Das, servant of the servant. That is why I was very nervous when this verse came to me. I was checking with Gopanesh Prabhu, are you sure it's my... Gopanesh Prabhu, yeah, it's your turn to speak. So, since yesterday I have been praying to the Lord that somehow allow me to speak something, because this is, being Dasanu Das is extremely difficult. The only place where I can be this is office, because I don't have a choice. Wherever choice is there, it's difficult to be Dasanu Das. Wherever there is no choice, anyway we will become. Because for the sake of money, we have to tolerate lot of insults. We have seen that. When a big, very senior boss comes to office, even if he's cracking a silly joke, everyone is what does this mean? He has actually not made us laugh. But we all try to laugh, and then when he talks, when we know that he likes footy, then we all try to be artificially happy that some team has won. Though we care, two hoots who won footy match. Does anyone care here? Who is the footy champion? No. But there we become so Dasanudas, servant, because we know this person has got something valuable to give me at the end of my month. Right? Without this person's mercy, my bank account will not grow. Right? So therefore, we become servant of servant by force. But that is not out of love. That is a compulsion of this material world. Taking the brickbats of everyone. Boss, colleagues, senior colleagues. Sometimes even our juniors hold us to ransom. Right? So that also happens. Right? So, but in spiritual life, Prabhupada is advising us that we have to cultivate this mood by choice. And we better do that before we leave our body. Because with every rising and setting of sun, we are one step closer to death. So therefore, at some point in time in this lifetime, we have to start thinking this seriously, that, oh my Lord, when will I cultivate this mood of Das, Dasanudas? There are three truths in Sanatan Dharma. What are the three truths? That Lord, Bhagavan, is eternal. We are also eternal because we are jivas, we are soul, and soul cannot be killed. So we are also eternal. The Lord is eternal, and this relationship between the Lord and us is also eternal. So these are three truths of Sanatan Dharma. So the eternal truth is Jivera Swarupa Hoy Nityera Krishna Das. In that sense, being servant is part of the soul's nature. It is the svabhava of the soul. The soul's intrinsic nature is to serve. No mother is thinking here, oh, I have to serve my daughters, I have to feed them, I have to give them bath. Does any mother think like that? Oh, it's a burden. Every day, I don't even get paid for it. No superannuation, no salary, no holiday. No. Why? Because there is love. So that is the closest it can get to Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada always says the love of a mother towards her child is the closest. And if we can just put that and take that and put it in to Krishna, then that is Krishna consciousness. Servant of servant. It's not difficult, but it requires purification to reach that stage. So, but when we tell this, that servant of servant of servant, it is very hurting to the false ego. It is very easy when someone has to say, Maharaj is coming. Everyone is ready. Servant of servant of servant. But if one has to serve peers or one has to serve juniors, then there is an ego that comes. I don't get along with that devotee. No, don't ask me to serve him. I am servant of servant, but not servant of this particular servant. That is how our mind works, right? So therefore, false ego comes in between. Now, talking about the glories of this aspect of servant, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, 7.5.23-24, the famous verse which Prahlad Maharaj tells on Navavida Bhakti. What does Prahlad Maharaj tell Hiranyakashipu? That bhakti has got Nava Lakshana. Nine types. If any one of this is done properly, it can deliver one back to Godhead. Any one of them. And therefore he says, therefore I have concluded that this is the best education that I have ever received. Because Hiranyakashipu asked, what is the best education you have received? So Prahlad is saying, this is the best education. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam till Dasyam Atma Nivedanam. He tells all the 9 processes to him. Now, interestingly, as in the purports to that particular verse, Srila Prabhupada talks about the principle of Dasyam, specifically this aspect of servitude. I'm just reading Prabhupada's powerful purport there. Prabhupada says, there is the following statement in regard to assisting the Lord as a servant. After many, many thousands of births, when one comes to understand, after thousands of births, when one comes to understand that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, at that time one can deliver others from this universe. Which means, if I don't understand this principle, who am I going to deliver in this universe? First, I have to understand this principle. So Prabhupada is hammering that point. Prabhupada says, if one simply continues to think, that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, if one just thinks this, even without performing any other process of devotional service, he can attain full success. Only with dasyam, one can attain full success. For simply this feeling of dasya, one can perform all 9 processes of devotional service. So this dasya bhav is like a horizontal, across all those verticals, if you like. Right? This dasyam is the horizontal. In fact, we are studying the Chaitanya Charitamrita now with Keshav Prabhu. This year we started the Bhakti Sarvabhauma. There, in the 5th chapter, after Advaita Acharya's appearance, now we are doing the 5th chapter, there it is mentioned, just last week we heard this, that there are different rasas. There is Shantaras, there is Dasyaras, above that there is Vatsalyaras, above that there is Sakhyaras, above that there is Vatsalyaras, and above that there is Madhuryaras. The mood of passive adoration, above that is the mood of servitude, above that is the mood of friendship towards the Lord, above that is the mood of parental love towards the Lord, and above that is the mood of conjugal relationship with the Lord. But everywhere, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is writing, the underlying mood of any of these Rasika Bhaktas in any of these rasas, the underlying sthai bhav is dasyam. In fact, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami goes to the extent of saying that all the other incarnations and expansions, ete chamsha kala pumsha, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, all these kalas, the expansion and expansion of the expansion that come, the predominant mood of all of them is what? Towards the Lord? Dasya. So, Balaramji, who is the first expansion from Krishna, is also called as Supreme Personality of Servitude towards Godhead. Servitude. Personality of Servitude Godhead. Balaramji himself is mentioned as that. So, there is no... So, in any bhav, in any ras towards the Lord, the mood of servitude is the horizontal. It's common. The moment it is taken out, everything collapses. Then it becomes sahajiya bhav. So that is why Prabhupada is writing this. Simply by this one feeling, one can perform all process of Navaveda Bhakti. So development of service attitude, Prabhupada is saying, is the ultimate perfection of life. And therefore Prabhupada does not call bhakti as devotion. Whenever you ask someone what is bhakti, they will translate in English. Bhakti is devotion. No, bhakti is devotional service. The common example is, if we love our spouses, do we just say, my dear wife, I love you? And then when she says, can you please do the pots for me? I am down with COVID-19, let us say. Oh no, I can't do that. It's your job. No, love means what? Service. So if we love someone, the one clear, unambiguous manifestation of that is we serve that person. Simple. Rather than thousands of words, one act of service. So, that's why Prabhupada called, and now we talk about Krishna. I gave the example of spouse so that many people can relate, but we are now talking about Krishna. So, loving Krishna means what? Doing something practical as a service unto him and to his devotees. Dasa anu das. Now, Prabhupada's writing saying that if one has this feeling, one can do all other process of Navaveda Bhakti. But if you don't have this feeling, all others will fall flat. Like a tower which is having no foundation. Boom, collapsed. Right? So, Shravanam. So, in Bhagavad Gita, I think it was 4.34, is it? Tadvidi Pranipatena? Yeah. So, there, 4th chapter, 34th verse, what is mentioned? Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprashnena. Is that all? After that comes Sevaya. So, after Shravanam, after hearing all instructions from exalted personalities, after the Prashna comes Sevaya, servitude. So, otherwise there is no point in such Shravanam, which does not lead to service. Shravanam gives us Jnana and service gives us Vijnana. From knowledge to realization, the journey is only possible through the medium of practical service. Kirtanam, which is another big anga. There's a beautiful example here. Raghunath Bhatt Goswami. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri, Raghunath Das Goswami went all the way from Kashi to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the way. Along with him was one person. What was his name? His name was Ramdas Vipra. Right? And this Ramdas Vipra, 24/7, he used to chant Ramanam. Rama, 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 24/7. It's very difficult for anyone to be like that. Right? Now, when both of them reached and had darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami was wanting to introduce Ramdas Vipra. This person 24/7 he is chanting Ram, 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 like that. Mahaprabhu did not even look at him. He refused to even look at Ramdas Vipra. Why? Because what was Ramdas Vipra's intention in chanting Ram, 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 Ram? His intention was to merge with Lord Ramachandra. And Prabhupada says, to merge with Lord Ramachandra means the consciousness is, I want to enjoy Sita. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not even look at him. So what is the use of that Kirtanam, which is not based on the platform of servitude? So Shravanam, Kirtanam, both are useless without the platform of servitude. Smaranam. Example is, all of us know. Who was thinking 24/7 of Lord Krishna? Kamsa. Right? Gopyat kamad bhayat kamso. So, in fear, 24/7, he was thinking. Don't we think 24/7 if there is, what is that, restructuring in the organization? 24/7 our buddhi is in the organization. Does it mean I love my company? 24/7 I am thinking of my company. No, it is out of fear I am thinking. When will I be laid off? When will my number come next? So like that, Kamsa is thinking of Krishna. Is that called as devotional service? That's Smaranam? No. That Smaranam is of no use, right? Because Rupa Goswami has laid the principal definition of bhakti as anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam. The remembrance has to be anukul, favorable, pleasing to the Lord. Otherwise, though Smaranam is an anga of bhakti, it is useless because the platform is not servitude. So therefore, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, all are ruled out as useless if it is not based on the platform of servitude. And if that platform is there, even any one of them can deliver us. We don't even have to do the other 8 processes. Even one of them is good enough. So the underlying mood is this. And that's what Prabhupada is hammering in today's purport, based on what? And highlighting Vritasura's mood. Now, though we hear this, there are blockers to becoming servant, of servant. Right? Becoming servant itself is a big challenge. Not to speak of becoming servant of servant. Not to think of becoming servant of servant of servant. And we can go on in that way. So, in teachings of Lord Chaitanya, if you see, read the book Teachings of Lord Chaitanya predominantly gave Siksha to 4 or 5 personalities. He gave Siksha to Sanatan Goswami, which is called as Sanatana Shiksha. Right? So the Lord gave Sambandha Gyan to Sanatan Goswami. Sambandha Gyan means who are you? Who is Lord? That is Sambandha Gyan. What is our relationship with him? That he gave to Sanatan Goswami. To Rupa Goswami, he gave Abhideya Gyan, the process, how to attain the Lord. And in his samvad or discussion with Ramananda Rai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by questioning him in a very logical way, extracted prayojan from Ramananda Rai's heart. Extracted the ultimate goal. Prema Pomartho Mahan. He extracted that from Ramanand Rai. And that is the sadhya or the ultimate perfection, attaining love of God. Now he also gave teachings to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Prakashananda Saraswati. And that was slightly different. That teaching was slightly different. Because why? Because both were having this anartha of mundane scholarship and Mayavad in their heart before they became devotees. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predominantly instructed these 5 people. Now, specifically in Sanatan Shiksha, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Sanatan Goswami, at the very outset, Mahaprabhu classified human beings of 2 categories, jivas of 2 categories, Nitya Siddha and Nitya Baddha, the eternally conditioned and the eternally liberated. Okay, in the reverse way. Nitya Siddha, eternally liberated, and Nitya Baddha, eternally conditioned. And the essence of that teaching is, what is the difference between Nitya Siddha and Nitya Baddha? One, the Nitya Siddha is Krishnendriya Priti. And the Nitya Baddha is Atmendriya Priti, my own satisfaction. Right? Whereas they work for Krishna's satisfaction. And that's the difference between Krishna Das or Goswami and Godas. So these basics, teachings are being highlighted in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions to Sanatan Goswami. The soul has a choice to serve the internal energy or the external energy. So the root cause of fall down is we choose to serve the external energy. In Bhagavad Gita 9.12, Lord Krishna also tells this to Arjuna. Lord Krishna says, if you continue serving your senses, what is going to happen to you? What is the verse? 9.12. Mogha Asha, Mogha Karma, and Mogha Jnana. These 3 aspects are. Mogha means what? Baffled. If we do not serve the Lord, instead we serve our own material aspirations. Mogha Asha, my own aspirations. Right? Mogha Karma. Instead of acting in Krishna consciousness, if we act or do our duties in some other consciousness, material consciousness, or if we develop knowledge simply for the purpose of roaming around as a knowledgeable person, Mogha Jnana, then what is it said? Or cultivate mundane knowledge. Then what is saying? Everything is Mogha. We will be baffled in every way. And when one becomes baffled, then what happens? One starts becoming demonic or atheistic. When one is frustrated in serving one's material desires, what comes? Anger comes. When anger comes, one becomes demonic. And then frustration comes, which leads to atheism. Does God really exist? Why is my life in such a mess? Like that. So, the answer is the Chaitanya Charitamrita 22.16. It gives this view. It is called as, the chapter is called the process of devotional service. Towards the end of Chaitanya Charitamrita it comes. So there is a nice translation there, 22.16, Antyalila. Oh my Lord, there is no limit. Oh my Lord, there is no limit. It talks about people who try to serve their own senses. We are talking about Nitya Baddha. Oh my Lord, there is no limit to the unwanted orders of lusty desires. There is no limit to it. Although I have rendered these desires so much of service, they have not shown any mercy to me. I have not been ashamed to serve them. Nor have I even desired to give it up. First of all, I am shameless. I have not been ashamed to serve them. I have shamelessly served my material desires. And on top of that, I am not even desiring to give it up. I am holding on to those. Right? So this is a beautiful verse which brings out this opposite of Dasanudas. Now how does this happen? How do we get into this trap? One is because of external temptation. Right? When we see that billboard, live life king size. And that fellow is smoking, that hero is smoking, big muscles, tall fellow, handsome bloke, right? Like that. And in one hand he's punching that one villain who is trying to grab his, whatever, his mate, the lady. And then you say, wow, Purusha Bhav. This is man. Like that. So when we see these hoardings, which tells us to entice us to come and enjoy the material world, that digresses us from the path of Dasanudas. The second thing is desire to serve our own senses. Right? Maybe for devotees, the hoardings may not be so, probably after many years in devotional life, they may not have that kind of an impact. So for when you see a bottle of wine, very decorated very nicely, maybe we don't feel anything. We won't even give a second look at that advertisement. But where do we run from the diktats of our own mind? Why? After coming to devotional service, why does our mind become our enemy? Because the mind says, you have been 20 years in Krishna consciousness, people are not even recognizing you as senior devotee here. Look at these people. They don't even say Hari Bol, Prabhuji. Like that. Right? So this kind of consciousness comes. We get expectations in our heart that we should be respected, we should be adorned, we should be served. So these are anarthas which come inside bhakti. Because I am doing so many services, I must be recognized. Or because I am doing so much services, I am great. And people who are not doing services, they are not as great as I am. Am I not great? Because I am doing so many services. So these are anarthas. So these are also what? These are also not Krishnendriya Priti. It looks like Krishnendriya Priti, but it is Atmendriya Priti because it is just giving satisfaction. These services are giving satisfaction to our own false ego. So, therefore this verse, the process of devotional service in Chaitanya Charitamrita says that I have served these senses, but these senses they show no mercy to me. When we serve someone for years, at least some mercy that person will show us, right? Thank you, Prabhuji, for serving me. But my senses don't even call me Prabhuji. They say, Das ji, you are our servant. Like that. They call me Das, my senses, right? So no mercy, no reciprocation. In office, we work for 5 days. And then what happens? 2 days we get holiday at least. When we serve our senses, do they give a holiday? In fact, when holiday comes, what happens? Let us enjoy more. Ye dil mange more. On holiday specifically, right? Let us go out and enjoy. After all, 5 days I have worked. Saturday, Sunday is a day for enjoyment. So the senses tell us to further enjoy. No holiday they give us in their service. Right? Then, there is no retirement. The senses don't give us any retirement in their service. For example, once King Akbar had this opinion that this lust and all, this will all go away. This attraction for women, no, it is only in teenage years and all that. After marriage and all, everything will go away. One realizes after marriage. After that one becomes okay, everything is okay. After that automatically, after 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, automatically lust will go away. And Birbal was hearing this. Birbal said, okay, I will take you to a place, come. But you have to bring your young daughter, like that. So he said, okay. The king took the young daughter there. And he said, I will show you an old man who is in deathbed right now. So the old man was in deathbed and he said, the king has come to see you, the emperor has come to see you. The old man saw the emperor. And he said, wow, the emperor has come to see me. But immediately his glance went to the young daughter, beautiful daughter. So the old man then started looking at the daughter only, forgot about the emperor completely. Right? And then Birbal said, do you want to come again and meet this man? The emperor said, no. Such a lusty fellow, he is looking at my daughter like this. Right? So therefore, lust will not go with old age. Lust does not go with time. When we pour petrol on fire, have you seen that? Fire brigade has come. There is a fire and they are saying, oh, let's put petrol. Jor se maro yaar. Put more petrol. Will it go? Will that fire go? Just because of the quantity of petrol that is being put? What will happen? Further aggravate. So the more we try to satisfy these fallible soldiers, these senses of ours, it is like pouring petrol on fire. More you enjoy, more you want to enjoy. That is why that ad was properly said. Ye dil mange more. It never says ye dil mange less. The mind will always want more and more of something which has been relished. So, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, again, Madhya Leela, in the same chapter, verse 24 says, Krishna Nitya Das Jivataha Bhuli Gela Ei doshe maya tara galaya bandhila. Galaya bandhila means gale mein bandh diya. Galaya bandhila. The living entity is bound around the neck by the chain of Maya because he has forgotten that he is eternally a servant of Krishna. Like in a merry-go-round, when you sit, the child, have you sat on merry-go-round, all of you? Never. That Futskare one? No. It's come here also nowadays. Okay. So merry-go-round, what happens? First you sit inside. The child is very excited. Even I was very excited initially to sit in that merry-go-round. And I sat on the world's biggest, I had a chance to sit on the world's biggest merry-go-round. At that time at least it was, in Yokohama, Japan. Right? So I was going on, and that was actually my first time in merry-go-round. So I was going up like that. It was initially enjoyable, nicely going up, and suddenly it started coming down, and I started feeling that in the aircraft and the plane suddenly, because of that turbulence, that flight, suddenly they bring it down. And then I was feeling some sinking feeling in my stomach. And then I said, never again, I'm going to enter this machine. Right? Never again. Some nice feeling after that sinking feeling. After that, when you come out, $70 gone. Then you're saying, what did I achieve? View. That view you can get, even when you board an aircraft, you can have that temporary view. What after the view? Nothing. Money gone, right? But in the spur of the moment, we think there is something great, enjoyment is there. So, it is like sitting on that chair is like the body. And the seat belt which they put on that merry-go-round is like the subtle body, the gross and subtle body. Both of them take you around on the merry-go-round of Attala, Vitala, Sutala, Patal, Talatal. Then again the heavenly planets, the 14 planetary systems. We go up and we come down. We go up and we come down. That is how people don't know the goal of life. We all have forgotten the goal of life. We think the goal of life is just to go to office, earn some money, buy first property, second property, positive gearing, negative gearing, right? Show off, put on Facebook, Twitter, show to our relatives in Punjab. Munda. What happened? Munda has done very well. Like that. I'm not targeting Punjab, I'm targeting anyone. Even in Tamil Nadu, I also do that. Put some poster. The moment we buy car, Facebook mein. Whether we are enjoying that car or not is a second thing. But put on Facebook first. Because you should know how successful I am. You better know. Like that. Right? So this is our consciousness. So we will not get anywhere. These things kill the mood of service, of being servant of servant. And therefore we can't progress in our devotional life. So, now how do we get this service attitude? These are the blockers. How do we get this service attitude? So it is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 18.73, Tvat prasadan mayachyutaha. By the mercy of the Lord only we can get this service attitude. We need the mercy of the Lord. The Lord has to give us attention. And what does the Lord's attention mean? What is parental attention? Some kind of chastisement, right? Otherwise nothing will happen, right? If my mother would have said, oh my child, if you want you may study or you may not study. If you want you may do mathematics or you may not do. It's a choice after all. Will anyone sit and do? Nobody will do. You know that, right? But what happens? Parents are hammer and tongs behind the child. So that is when it happens. So like that we need the attention of our Supreme Father. Otherwise this is not going to happen, right? So Arjuna is saying this. Nashto moha smritir labdha tvat prasadan mayachyuta sthitho asmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, Achyuta, you will never fail in correcting me. O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and I am prepared to act according to your instruction. So, many things are happening in this verse. First is what Arjuna is saying, Nashto moho. Nashto moho means you have cleared your illusion. Initially I thought, in Hindi there is a song, Main hi main hu, dusra koi nahi. I am the one. I am the king. Aham mameti. Me and mine. I am the Lord. I am the boss here. And all of you are meant for my service. The whole world, why is it not revolving around me and my desires? This is called as aham mameti. So he says, Nashto moho. That illusion has gone. Because of your instructions, dear Krishna. Smriti labdha. I had forgotten who I was. I thought I was a Gandiva, big archer, big hero, because the world calls me a big hero. I thought I was a big hero. But now I realize I am zero after your instructions. In front of Virat Roop, what is that bow and arrow going to do? Right? So, Smriti labdha, which means my Vismriti or forgetfulness has gone now. I am eternally your servant. All the other relationships that I have are now not relevant, or they are relevant as long as those relationships are in relation to you being the center. For example, we remember, all of us remember our marriage, right? Especially that reception. Is it enjoyable? It is enjoyable when someone else is getting married, because we can eat nice uttappa and vada sambar there, right? Or Chinese, right? But when it is our wedding, what happens? I remember my whole batchmates, my MBA batchmates they were all there sitting nicely eating, hogging in my marriage. And I was standing there fasting on the stage. And everyone comes, like I have to introduce to my wife. This is Tunnu. This is Munnu, my friend. That school where I studied in. This is Kanna Chacha. Like that. Something. We'll introduce. And all the time you have to put on a smile. After some time it starts aching. Everyone remembers reception, marriage reception, right? So now, why are we doing all these introductions? Why? And the wife is looking there. Kya farak padta hai? What difference does it make who this mama is, whether he was in third floor of your old building where you stayed in? How do I care? But she has to care. Why? Because she is getting married to me. In relation to me, all these relationships make sense. Now, if she were not to marry me, would she be interested in Chopra uncle who was staying in third floor of my old building? Who cares? Right? So therefore, this is the point that is being made. Smriti labdha. I have understood my relationship to every living entity in this world in relation to what they mean to you, my dear Lord. Therefore now, I am getting this clarity in my life. Now all my confusion is disappearing because of this point. Sthito asmi gata sandeha. Now I have not only doubt of your position, because you already showed me Virat Roop. Why will I doubt that you are the Lord? I don't doubt your position, but I don't have any doubts about your position, but I don't have any doubts about me being your servant also. That position is also clear. Right? Then finally he says, Karishye vachanam tava. He is not providing lip service to the Lord. Oh Lord, you are great, I have understood everything. Okay, I will see you after some time now. No. What does he say? Now I will do whatever you say and I will follow whatever you say. So this is the difference between devotion and devotional service. This is the difference between jnana and vijnana. Jnana means knowledge that he is supreme. But vijnana will come only when we start doing service. And this is the point that Prabhupada is hammering in this purport. Now for Arjuna, one may say, oh, Lord Krishna was standing there, what about me? Nobody is there in front of me. Yeah, I understand deities are there, I have heard it many times. So what? That's how our mind will tell us, right? So, that is why in the morning we sing. What is that? Yasya prasadan bhagavat prasado Yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Why do we sing that? Because Yasya prasadan bhagavat prasado. Though yes, Lord is not in front of me, but His representatives are in front of me. His representatives are our disciplic succession of spiritual masters. They are there. There are Diksha Gurus, there are Siksha Gurus, senior devotees. Yes. When they are pleased, Lord will always automatically be pleased. And then we sing, Yahara prasade pai, e bhava turiya jai, Krishna prapti hoy. We sing that every morning, right? So, again and again in our morning program, it is being reiterated that only by pleasing them, then we can cross over birth, disease, old age and death. Otherwise, it is not possible. Ye prasade pure sarva asha. Which means our desire, what is our desire? Our desire is to serve the Lord eternally, can only be fulfilled Our desire to go to the spiritual world can only be fulfilled if the devotees are pleased with us. If the devotees are not pleased with us, no entrance into the spiritual world. Right? Not possible. Because the Jai and Vijay will stand there. And they'll say, no entry to you. They say, what do you want to do? I want to serve. Okay. Okay, you can go in. But 1 minute. That devotee is not there, no? Inside. Don't put him in his team, huh? Immediately Jai Vijay close. Oh, sorry, go back. No entrance. Admission denied. We regret to inform you of your interest in the Golok Vrindavan program. However, we are so sorry. Regret letter, no? That fellow sends, no? That rejection letter which comes from select entry schools, like that. Thank you for your interest in coming to Golok Vrindavan. Maybe some other time. Next time you can try. Under principal's discretion. Which is who? Prabhupada's mercy, quota. Right? So that is the story. Now, how does one cultivate? We'll end our class with this. How do we cultivate this mood? We have discussed a lot of philosophy. Now practically, how do we cultivate this mood? Because the scriptures say that if the conditioned soul engages in the service of the Lord, please hear carefully, if the conditioned soul engages in the service of the Lord and simultaneously carries out the orders of the spiritual master and serves him, he can get out of the clutches of Maya and become eligible for shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. Now, how do we cultivate this mood? There is no other substitute rather than study the life of devotees who have that mood. Raga Anuga. What is Raga Anuga? Following in the footsteps. What is that famous verse? Sangat Tyagat Sato Vritte. Sato Vritte means follow in the footsteps of these personalities who already have cultivated this mood. Now, one of the vivid examples of this is Maharaj Prataparudra. So we'll end our class by just discussing the mood of Maharaj Prataparudra and how the similarities with the mood of Vritasur here. Now, what is the pastime? What happens in Maharaja Prataparudra's pastime? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken sannyas and come to Jagannath Puri, right? And in Jagannath Puri, he has instructed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the greatest scholar of that time, the greatest scholar in India he was at that time, the greatest philosophical scholar in the world, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was seen as the greatest scholar now, and who was the king over there? Maharaj Prataparudra. So, in that sense, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was an influencer unto Maharaj Prataparudra. Maharaj Prataparudra considered him as Guru, scholarly Guru. Now what has happened? Mahaprabhu came there and destroyed that scholarly mentality. Right? And Mahaprabhu made Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya into a pure devotee. So much so that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya could not think of anyone except serving Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And who noticed it? Maharaj Prataparudra noticed it. What happened to my Guru, my scholarly Guru? He was earlier scholar. Now he has become so devotional and so less scholarly in his outlook. Who has brought this change? What has happened to my master, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya? And then he goes and asks Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that. And then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya talks about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he tells Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not just my Guru. He is actually Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has come in the garb of his own devotee. So he explains this to him. And because of this, he has showered so much mercy on me that because of this now, I am very happy being a devotee, much more than the happiness I derived in the pride of being a scholar. Now when Prataparudra heard this, he said, me too. Mera bhi number laga do. Can I also please? Can you put my number? Can I also meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, very difficult. Why? Because he has taken to the renounced order of life, he has taken sannyas, he does not meet any kings. another thing, he is now touring South India. He has gone to South India. So, Prataprudra Maharaj asked, why has he gone to South India for a pilgrimage to Srirangam? If you are saying he is himself, Supreme Lord, why Lord has to go to Srirangam to purify himself? Right? He says, no, he has not gone to purify himself, he has gone to purify others. Bhavad vida bhagavata stirtha bhuta swayam vibho. Even a devotee who carries Lord Krishna in his heart, he purifies the holy places. When a devotee takes bath in Ganga, Ganga gets purified. Otherwise, Ganga takes all the sins of everyone. So how does Ganga get purified? When devotee takes bath in Ganga, like that. So, this is the explanation. There is a beautiful conversation going on between them. And immediately when he hears, Maharaj Prataprudra hears, the first qualification of Maharaja Prataprudra comes out here, the mood of accepting something from a realized person with faith. So he accepts. He says, because you are in disciplic succession of Lord Chaitanya, I am accepting that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and I am accepting his authority with faith, and therefore the second quality is what? I want to serve him. So he says, how can I serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? By providing accommodation. So Maharaj Prataprudra provides accommodation for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Kashi Misra's house. Why? Because he knows Mahaprabhu would want an accommodation where he is not disturbed, which is secluded, where he can have his solitude, which is peaceful, and above all, which is very close to Lord Jagannath's temple in Puri. So he arranges that accommodation. And then Lord Chaitanya returns from South India. And then Sarvabhauma very nervously goes and asks Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, can you do something for Maharaj Prataprudra? Like that. And what the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says? Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. He says, I don't meet such worldly personalities, kings and all. I have nothing to do with them. I am a sannyasi. Sannyasi is not supposed to meet all these people. So he bluntly refuses. But after that comes another devotee. Who is that devotee? Who comes to Puri? Ramananda Rai. Ramananda Rai comes to Puri. Now, how does Ramananda Rai come to Puri? That is because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had instructed Ramananda Rai, you give up your job and come and serve me full time. If you see, Lord Chaitanya's instructions to many other devotees, what? Sthane sthita, you go and serve your parents and then you come. But to Ramananda Rai, he told exactly opposite. To Ramananda Rai, what did he say? Ramananda Rai was the governor of South India, big position, right? But to him he said, you leave all this governor, shavarnar and you come here. You serve me. Now, leaving that position needs the permission of the government, correct or no? Now, if I tell my office tomorrow, I'm sorry, Monday morning, I'm tendering my resignation, okay, putting in my papers. Why? I want to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who's that? And what is that? And he said, no, I want to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, go. Thank you very much. Give 4 weeks notice. And please remember to hand over properly. Cultivate the next person and go. Like that. That is what boss will say, right? Then if you say, incidentally, you know what? Can you pay me salary also? So what? You have the audacity to leave the job, to say you want to serve somebody, and I should pay you salary for that? Atrocious, audacious, impudent of you to have even asked such a question. Which boss will give you that? Maharaj Prataprudra did that exactly for Ramananda Rai. And that is how Ramananda Rai goes and positions Maharaj Prataprudra to Lord Chaitanya. He says, Lord, because of his mercy only I have come to Puri leaving my job. And you are saying you will not give audience to him. I could not have been in your presence. But Mahaprabhu still wants to test a little bit more. So what Mahaprabhu says, in an indirect way, he gives hope. What does Mahaprabhu say? Mahaprabhu says that Prabhu kohe, tumi Krishna bhakta pradhan, toma keye priti kore sei bhagyavan. If he is so attached to you, then Krishna avashya karibe angikar. Definitely he will one day receive the mercy of Lord Krishna, he says, not my mercy. Because he is Channa avatar, hidden incarnation. He is not revealing himself now, right? So, Prabhupada also talked about this. Prabhupada said, love me, love my dog. Right? We cannot love Lord Krishna if we hate his devotees. Even though that devotee may be someone very close to us. Right? We cannot go back to Godhead. So, love me, love my dog. In fact, when Prabhupada was doing his disappearance pastime, Prabhupada sent his ring. When he was about to leave his body, Prabhupada had a ring. I think it was some thousands of dollars. Diamond ring or something Prabhupada had. And he called one of his servants and he told, go and give it to Bhakta George. Who was Bhakta George? Beatles, George Harrison. Prabhupada remembered that without George Harrison's help, I wouldn't have been able to publish my books. So at that time, at the last moment, Prabhupada remembered George Harrison. So when the devotee handed over that to George Harrison, he was so pleased. He said, Prabhupada remembered me? So that is the power of serving these exalted personalities, that when they desire, even at the most difficult circumstance that they personally go through, they will pray for us. And they'll give us our mercy. So this is a very good example. Now, coming back to Maharaj Prataprudra, Maharaj Prataprudra had determination. So, one day he realized, what is coming in between Mahaprabhu's mercy and me? My attachment to my position of being the king. To hell with this position of me being king. To hell with my kinship. Who cares? Right? So he says, I'm going to give up my kinship and I'll become a beggar on the road. So that then I get Dasa, Dasa, Nudas. Therefore, then I will get maybe mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the devotees told him, okay, you want to do that? Okay. Mahaprabhu is going to come for Rath Yatra. And it's very contextual because 2 days back only Rath Yatra happened in Jagannath Puri. So he says, come to the Rath Yatra and maybe Mahaprabhu will give you mercy. Now what did Maharaj Prataprudra do? When he came to the Rath Yatra, he immediately took a broom and started cleaning the streets, right? And paving the way for all the devotees to dance with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu himself was dancing, right? So, as soon as he took that humble position and gave up, saying to hell with my position of kingship, senior devotee, all those things, then what happened? Immediately, he saw the beautiful form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How many times? 7 times, not once. He saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dancing in 7 different groups. That is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed to Maharaj Prataprudra, I am none other than Lord Krishna. Just as Lord Krishna, when he was dancing with all the gopis, Krishna expanded himself with each and every gopi. And just as in Dwarka, Krishna expanded himself to be with each of the queens of Dwarka. That is what was revealed. So whatever Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals only to his most intimate disciples, that his godhood, he revealed to Maharaj Prataprudra. Why? Because of, and that's the lesson for us today. Because he was willing to give up his position and become servant of servant. So he secured the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Now, there was a servant there. His name was Hari Chandan, who was the servant of the king, Maharaj Prataprudra. Now this servant, sometimes what they want to do? They want the best for their master. Hey, king is coming, king, hey, chalo, hato. No, he was doing that. Come on, give way to the king. Because the king wants to have darshan of Lord Chaitanya dancing. So move out. And what did he do? He went, and Srivas Thakur was dancing in ecstasy over there. So he went and tried to move Srivas Thakur. But Srivas Thakur was ecstatic. But then he was constantly pushing him. So at some point in time, Srivas Thakur turned and gave him one slap. Now this is, what does our mind tell us? If we are slapped like that, what will happen? Prabhu, I thought you are senior devotee. I thought you are exalted personality. Ye devotees log bhi aise hai na, senior people tell. No, they also get angry. How can he slap me like that? This is how our mind will tell us if we are slapped. I don't want to go to that Melbourne Dank Street again, that temple. What people are behaving there like that? Because for us, we see everything in that way, with respect to how our false ego has been hurt, right? But see what happens here. Hari Chandan went to Maharaj Prataprudra. King, see, I went to serve you. This fellow slapped me like this. I am very hurt by this. Maharaj Prataparudra, what he should have said? What? तेरे को हाथ लगाया देखता हूँ अभी मैं. You know, someone slapped you, I am the king. How dare that fellow slap? Did he react like that? No. What does Maharaj Prataparudra say? He says, you are Bhagyavan. Bhagavan's mercy, whoever gets, is called as Bhagyavan. You are Bhagyavan. Bhagyavan tumi hara hasta sparsha paila. You got the mercy of his divine lotus hands of Srivas Thakur. And he's saying, I am so unfortunate, I did not receive his mercy. Will anyone think like that when slapped? Not, no. That is why this purport is required. Okay. I did not receive this mercy. So this is the second quality which Mahaprabhu noticed in him. Ability to take chastisement from advanced devotees without ego surfacing. Who are you to tell me? Like that. Final. Now, with all this, Mahaprabhu is giving him slowly mercy. Now they come to Balagandi garden, where Mahaprabhu is taking rest with all his associates. And then, who approaches him? Maharaj Prataparudra. Now, even when Maharaj Prataparudra was in the Rath cart, he was sweeping, but he had his robes on as a king. Now he gave up the kingly robes also. He dressed as a Vaishnava. And who had given him these tips? The devotees had given. Without devotees' mercy and knowledge and guidance, we can't get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So therefore, Maharaj Prataparudra gave up his royal robes and dressed as a Vaishnava, he came. And not only did he come in Vaishnava robes, just to deceive Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he begged all the servants of Lord Chaitanya, may I please go and serve Lord Chaitanya? Like that. Not that, oh, king has come. Now, anyway, all of you get lost now. I have come now, let me serve. Not like that. No entitlement mentality in the garb of devotional service. No. There also he took permission from all devotees. And then with their permission and blessings, he started slowly massaging the feet of Lord Chaitanya. So you get access to the lotus feet of the Lord by the mercy of the devotees. And then what did he do? He started chanting the Gopi Geet. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam. Time is short, that's why. I would like to sing this, but no, I'll cut it. So Tava kathamritam. When he started singing this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was resting, he jumped up. He jumped up and he said, Bhurida, Bhurida. Where were you? Who are you? Sing this beautiful song again and again. Please keep singing. Don't stop. Keep singing. And ultimately, in a tight hug, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him and bathed him with tears of his mercy. How nice it is to be bathed with the tears of the Lord. Yesterday only we were saying. So pleased was Lord Vishnu with Kardama Muni and his austerity that whole Bindu Sarovar was formed by the tears. Like that here also the Lord is having tears in his eyes. And then with those tears he is asking, the Lord could not see. He is asking, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? With this song you gave me so much pleasure. Who are you? And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami now concludes. He says, Purva seva deki tanre kripa upajila anusandhana vina kripa prasada karila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy unto Maharaj Prataparudra was aroused because of the king's previous service. Therefore, without even asking who he was, the Lord immediately bestowed his mercy upon him. All previous services had softened Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart, such that the same Lord who refused to give him darshan, an audience, now slowly the mercy has begun to flow. Who are you? Who are you? Mahaprabhu is asking. Now, why did Mahaprabhu ask him that question? Because he wanted to extract from Maharaj Prataparudra's mouth who he was and what he was feeling inside his heart. And what was inside Maharaj Prataparudra's heart? Maharaj Prataparudra said, Raja kahe, Ami tomara daser anudas. Bhrityera bhritya kar ei mora ash. My Lord, I am the most obedient servant of your servants, it is my ambition that you will accept me as the servant of your servants. So today's verse, this is the same mood that Vritasur is demonstrating, and Srila Prabhupada is advising us to cultivate this mood of Dasanudas if we are serious about getting the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna. Sorry, I went overboard for 5 minutes. I beg apologies. I beg pardon. Not apologies, sorry. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions, comments quickly? One question, if at all, or any corrections. Otherwise, Prashadam is waiting. Yes, Mataji. In today's day and age, it is Hare Nama Eva Kevalam only. So it is good enough to sit and chant. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, even if you put an ad, you will not get such a person who will chant 24/7. Even if you pay that person $10,000 per month and tell that person, only sit at home and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, nobody will apply for that job. So it's not easy to sit in one place and chant. Therefore, Prabhupada said, I have created all these temples to keep you all busy. It doesn't mean, it's not literally that way. We should not marginalize the importance of others. But it is said that all the other angas aid attentive chanting. They are meant to aid attentive chanting. For example, is our chanting not better after we do deity worship? Right? Either in the temple or at home, after Ekadashi, when you dress your deities very nicely and then you sit and chant, then the chanting is extra special, isn't it? Because you are in the mood of that. Better than when you come back from office and you are sitting and chanting. Right? So, all other angas are essentially to come to the point of attentive chanting. So, attentive chanting is the summum bonum of all this. But one cannot do attentive chanting without developing the mood of dasyam. And who has said that? Mahaprabhu has said that. Trinadapi sunichena taror iva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtane sadahari. Unless we cultivate the mood that I am lower than the lowest, then we cannot come to the point of chanting with feeling. We can finish our rounds, but we will not start the process of chanting. And tears will not come to our eyes, because we will not get that mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As when the heart is hard with false ego, then Krishna will not come and steal butter from that soft heart. So therefore, all the other angas are essentially to aid the process of kirtana. And dasyam is the foundation of all these angas. Is that okay? Okay. Okay, we'll stop here. Oh, sorry. Is that okay? Just one. Yeah. Why did the Lord ask them to go to? Yeah, so many times the Lord, why did Lord ask Arjuna to kill Bhishma? That is the question indirectly you are asking me, right? Lord could have killed Bhishma anyway, correct? Because the Lord likes to glorify his devotee and give them an opportunity to serve his already thought out desire. Lord has already decided something. All of us only have a choice, whether to align with the desire and become an instrument in his desire or not. So that is why. That's a short answer. Okay? So Lord had already decided that this has to happen, and Vritasura cannot be killed by anyone because he is my devotee. Therefore, I can only kill my devotee with the blessings of another pure-hearted person, which is Dadichi, with his... No one else can touch actually, Lord's devotee. Like that. Okay, I'll stop here because now it's 9:08. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai.